Hello, everyone. Um, this is not a morning devotional, it's just a devotional. Um, Tried to make it this morning, but I slept in. It's a Sabbath. Got some Sabbath rest in. So, this devotional is about how to, why relationships don't work. Why relationships don't work. And the reasons that I'm about to give you, if you do the reverse or try to acquire the things that I'm trying to tell you, then I believe that the relationship will work. I want to say this also, that the devotional will be based on the biblical concept and not anything that I would suggest. I have my own ideas, but this is kind of biblical base. And at the end, I will give Bible context to look at to show what God can do. Okay. Let's see why relationships don't work. One of the main reasons why relationships don't work is because they don't. Most couples do not know where, excuse me, where to get, where to turn to for help. Uh, any relationship, in most cases, in most relationships where a relationship doesn't work, uh, couples tend to go to their friends, family members, or buddies, or or some kind of person outside that they think is supposed to be wise or whatever, trying to get some kind of direction in what they should do. Um, in many cases, that's not correct either. I'm gonna tell you, the first thing that you need to do is turn to God. The reason why I say turn to God and ask God for help is because He's the originator. He's the original. He's the one that started this relationship thing. He knows the ins and outs of a relationship. He knows the other person better than the other person knows themselves. So if you're asking me, who would I want to go to fix my truck? I would not go to Home Depot to learn how to fix my truck. I would not go to uh, uh, Sam's Club or anyone like that to learn how. I would figure out about going to the Dodge dealer or the Dodge personnel to learn how to fix my truck, because they're the one that created it. They're the one that made it. So in that concept, if God is the one that created you and I, wouldn't it be better for you to go to God and ask Him, what is it that I need to do about this relationship to make it work? Yeah, it would be. It would make sense. It's a wise choice to go to the person or the creator of the person to ask for help about that person. Okay. Um, to me, that just makes sense to do that. The second thing I would say is to know how to love God. Okay, this also goes a little bit back to the first one, because God is love, right? And if God is love, then in order to learn how to love someone, again, wouldn't that also means that you need to go to God to learn how to love another person, right? Uh, yeah, in order to achieve and get or gain some kind of love, learn how to love, you need to go to the original, the person that gives it out freely, and or that you're able to learn from the ins and outs of how to love. Then you need to go to God to learn how to do that. Third, learn how to love your neighbor as yourself. In this one, I might have to give a little bit of explanation or context into why I say learn to love your neighbor as yourself. Naturally, if we're talking about a relationship, I'm not talking about your neighbor next door, but that neighbor is your spouse. That neighbor is your significant other. That is who your neighbor is. That someone other than yourself is your neighbor. And in this case, with a relationship, if you don't know how to love another person as yourself, and I don't mean, okay, well, I love that person, but I still love myself more. That's not the same thing. You have to love that person fully, the same way you love yourself. Indication that you don't love another person as yourself. You was like, well, I like that person, I love that person, but I love myself better. Some things like that they'll say. I was like, man, yeah, I love myself more than that. I'm not going to do that. That those kind of things are indication that that person don't love you as themselves. I kind of went over a couple of things, where the Lord, He was giving specific, like, what are the greatest commandments? Love God with all your heart and all your might, without all your soul and everything. And the second, which is just as good, is to love your neighbor as yourself. So in those three that I just listed, those commandments are listed in there for you to love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And you can't get those unless you go to God, to be able to do that. As far as your neighbor, if you, like I said, if you feel like you come first, then you don't love them as yourself. That's another indication too. The fourth one is is that you have to die to self, which is kind of alluding back to that third one. I kind of hinted on it a little bit, but you have to learn how to die to self. If you're having a conversation all the time and I and me all the time comes out, in the first place, you don't have any space, any room for any other letter in that word, or the word I'm talking about is love or relationship. You have just eyes in it, or just me. You don't have any room for another person. You don't have any room for another letter or anything in there to where a relationship could be festered and grow. It's too much I, it's too much self, and that has to die in order for that relationship to grow. And the way that this works is, if both parties are so concentrating on loving the other person, they won't have time to be worried about whether or not they're getting what they need, because they'll be so busy concentrating on loving the other person. And the last thing is your character. A person's character should be mimicking that of Christ. Okay, we're supposed to be getting ready for heaven, and our character needs to be aligned with God. Now, when this alignment starts, everyone becomes one. The Lord said, I wish everyone was like me. And in another case, he said, I'll put this mind in them, just like his mind. So that for that, what you get is two people that thinks alike and act alike. And there'll be less conflict, less issues, because they are so alike, they think alike, or their character is more or less so loving and caring about one another that they won't have that many issues. Will you still have issues? Yeah. We're born in sin and shaped in iniquity. So yes, you will have some problems. But the fact that your character is now refined to look more like Christ, then that relationship will flourish. That relationship will become a blessing unto others. That relationship will give God glory. That is what your character being aligned as in a relationship will look like. You guys become one, and it also aligns with the same as Christ, and then everything would be fine. So character change is a must. That you must have your character change, and don't give me that. I'm taking my, it's going to take a while, or no. In order for you to get to heaven, okay, if Christ come tomorrow, your character should be already set and good. So don't be to the point where you want to stick with your character because whether you have a little nasty here, a little bad there, or whatever. No, that should be cleared up because you're not going to get into heaven with a nasty character, a messed up character. So that needs to be changed. That needs to be worked on now. And the way that you see that working in a relationship, okay, well, maybe it was bad in the beginning or a little messed up in the beginning, but you can see remnants of it working out because your character is being changed. Day by day, your character is changing, and both of you are growing together because the more you align yourself with Christ, the more y'all come together, the more y'all become one. Think of a triangle. You on one end of the triangle and the other person on the other end of the triangle and God in the middle. And the closer you get to the top, how that relationship is supposed to work, the closer y'all become one, the closer you become to Christ, and the better it will be at the pinnacle of that triangle. Okay. The Bible verse that I want to, what was that? The Bible verse that I want to bring up to you guys is now, oh Lord, Isaiah 41. Isaiah 41, verse 10 through 13. If you look at Isaiah 41, 10 through 13, it will show you that the Lord is there yearning for you to come to him and for him to restore what was lost in your relationship, for him to restore how he wants that relationship to be. The Lord is there waiting to manifest what he sees or how he thought about that relationship when he put it together, that relationship should go. I understand that, the devil might have thought that he was putting it together, but the Lord is doing it for your good, for your benefit. So he has an idea what that's supposed to look like. He allowed it, and he knows what it's supposed to look like. And by that, I mean that he's willing to restore it to its luster. He's ready to restore it with his right hand, okay? That right hand is a hand of power. He has all the power to do so. And he's yearning, waiting for you to come and ask him to start following him so that he could restore it back to what it needs to be, so that it could be an honor and glory, so that it could be a blessing to others. That is what he wants to do. And he's asking for us to come back to him so that he could do that. I would recommend that you read all of Isaiah 41. It's a very powerful text, chapter. So please read the whole chapter, okay? But for this message, Isaiah 41, verse 10 through 13. Okay, and with that, God bless and have a wonderful day.